Claudio, we just seen a 3-1 win against St. Louis, arguably the class of the West. What'd you think tonight?
Well, I mean, as we expected, it was a difficult game. Everybody knew it. Everybody, the players knew it. Gary knew it, and perhaps maybe part of the fan base didn't because they haven't seen St. Louis playing. They play a very different style of play, or game that we had seen so far this season,
Yeah.
and they pressure very high up, and that's why the team didn't look that good in the first half, especially certain players, and not necessarily because here's when you have to be really calm when you make the analysis, because it's not that the player is not trying, or the game is not, he's doing bad playing at that particular. It's something that the game doesn't come to the game.
Yeah.
The first example I need to bring into is Randall Leal. It's not that Randall didn't play the way he's supposed. He tried, he did, and actually at the very beginning he did a few things that were good, but the game didn't come to his
Yeah.
to his
Didn't
style.
didn't come to him. He had some communication issues with Moore in terms of some commitments. Moore overlapped, and then and he didn't fall back. So there was some communication issues with Leal, and I think that may be a feature of just being on the first team and playing with the 11 that he can kind of play into. Coming off at 45, do you think that there's a question as to whether or not coming off of 45 is going to be taken as an affront, or is there a worry about like whether or not it gets read this way or read the wrong way?
You mean that you're talking about Randall in that
Yeah,
case?
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
no, I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, the player, no player wants to come out. I
Nobody
mean,
wants to come out
nobody
at
wants to come
all.
out. But
Right.
if you look at the certain times in the game where the team was, that our team was being pressed very high up, and they have to divide
Yeah.
most of the balls.
Yeah.
Well, of course, because of his size, Randall's not gonna get up there. Actually, that's one of the reasons why what's his name, Ty, uh, um, got injured.
Yeah.
I mean, how many balls he had to fight up there
Yeah.
with these guys? Well, Randall can't do that. He's not physically. He's not for that.
Yeah.
He's got to have to put the ball on his feet and build from there. And the game at that point wasn't. I mean, there's something weird in the game that wasn't allowed to do that.
Okay.
He probably, if you talk to him, he'll probably say he's the most upset of all. He wanted to remain. He wanted to stay there. He wanted to perform better, but the game just that didn't come to him.
Game wasn't coming to him. He's a player who plays well with the ball at his feet. He's able
Didn't
to
have it.
run. He's able to run on, and we were playing him a lot wider than he usually
Sure.
is playing. So there's seemed to be a trouble just in terms of the ball coming to where he needs it.
That's true. And
Okay.
and then but then look at when you look at the second half. Then what happens is that you bring a guy like Schafferberg, rested, fast, quick. He doesn't stay quiet, and then the other team is kind of gets caught by surprise with the speed, and they couldn't do anything about him.
It
You know,
it looked like they were prepared for somebody who was fast. They weren't prepared for how fast, because they were ready. They saw balls going through, and they're
sure.
like, "I'm going to have to motor." And then they were like, "Oh, I wasn't prepared for the fact that this guy was going to come around me."
They was, and then of course that allows a lot of things. That allowed Mokhtar to play more freely in the middle, and
Correct.
that's when everything collapsed for them.
Yes.
Once you had given Mokhtar space, which he didn't have in the first half, he was a little bit frustrated. That once that happens, then everything happens bad for the rest of the competition, because he's allowed to touch a lot of balls, he's allowed to move freely, he's allowed to run. All he did for the 3 goals, and it could have been a fourth one. He could have made, he could have scored
It could
another
have
one.
been a four.
Yeah,
There could have been four.
easily. Yeah.
Yeah, could have been four. So the back line. So looked like there was a looked like in terms of their communication, looked like they had to work out a couple things here and there, but it did look like they righted the ship and they were able to keep Giacchini in check. It looked like Vasilev had to play so far back to be able to get the ball for St. Louis. It looked like they were able to shut down a lot of their chances.
Well, Gary was just saying in the press conference that this is the couple, the pair of players, the youngest that he's ever played anywhere.
Mm.
So I mean, Bauer and
Bauer and Mayer.
and Bauermeyer,
Yeah.
and then they're young. And
Yeah.
you tend to forget that because you're seeing, especially Jack, playing so many games.
Yeah,
But he's
right.
very young. And Bauer is a very young guy. I mean, you see how big he is. You
He's
think
big.
he's older. He's not. And so when you look at that, you playing you playing against a team that scored so many goals, 33 goals in the season. That's St. Louis, and then you have to go to actually not your backers, but not to the people he probably would like to have there, Mayer and Zimmerman.
Yeah,
if he had the chance,
yeah. Playing
perhaps
against
even
this
and
team,
bringing
McNaughton if he needs
McNaughton
to.
if he needed.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would have been it. Well, still, besides a few things that happened, which everybody saw, obviously in the communication between them, I would have to say that they managed to play a very good game against a difficult team. Which, by the way, one of the things that St. Louis does that most teams don't do is that looking at how big and strong is Joe on the upstairs,
Yeah.
Joe Willis, they play the ball a little bit away from him
Mm,
outside
yeah,
of the ball
yeah,
box. The
yeah.
ball was played there all the time, and that just caused a lot of problems to Nashville in the first half.
It did. It did.
So
So, in terms of their back line, two really big center backs. Uh, we weren't able to go over the top of them. We had to effectively run at them, take outside shots, try to run past them. Some parts of that worked, but part of it even seemed to require that they had to be chasing the game for that to work for us.
well, one of the pretty much that's what Hanny just said in the locker room. One of the things that the team needs to still develop, even though it's looking good, is that not necessarily when a team is pressuring you up there, you really have to divide the ball every time. There's got to be a guy open somewhere.
Yeah.
It has to be. And the team, if the team doesn't, the back line, if those guys don't find that guy open somewhere, there's something lacking there. And you have to really say it. No matter if it's 3-1, 4-1, or 10-1, what happened tonight. If you cannot find that guy and go through halves of suffering,
Yeah.
then something that needs to be developed so that those teams don't come in here and cause so much trouble.
So playing against a team top of the West, they score a lot of goals. They take advantage of a lot of teams that kind of sleep in the back. We're able to stay disciplined with them. What are some things that you're expecting from St. Louis going forward? What do you think do you think that they're going to be the champions of the West? Do you think that LA can catch them?
Well, then again, we have to go back to other seasons where the other teams have been beating everyone, and all of a sudden, they go flat on the race, on the run, on their speed. And I don't know. It might not be. It might be that after tonight something happens to that team, or maybe this is what they needed to actually say, "Hey, look,
time for them to wake up.
Have to wake up."
Now they were short. They were shorthanded tonight. In fairness, they were shorthanded. They're missing. They missed Leuven, their 10.
For sure.
They're missing their 6, Blom, and they were missing Klaus, that giant giant Brazilian fella.
They're very important. But then again, Nashville missing 3 important guys.
We were missing 3 important guys too.
Still
Missing Godoy, missing Zimmerman, missing McNaughton. So, so in fairness to them, we didn't get to see their best. We played them. Maybe this is going to be something that maybe this is a team that we see again. See again. Maybe in maybe a final.
Well, maybe. Teams like this. It seems like by the game that they played tonight, this is the teams that the only drawback that I will bring for the whole thing is that I would love to have this team play in the Eastern Conference or somewhere else because this would be a good rivalry right here.
I agree. I think the St. Louis and Nashville would be a great rivalry.
It would be.
Again, they maybe got a more natural rivalry with Kansas City.
Sure.
But I mean, we don't have to have only one rival. So in terms of just expecting things from Nashville, what are things that you think that we need to be looking at in terms of just what needs to change going forward, or what do we need to keep doing?
Well, first of all, if I was going to say something, and it's hard to say things that you need to improve after a 3-1 and the run that Nashville is being, but it's
feeling
still
greedy.
Yeah, we all want to be greedy, and one of the things that I want to be greedy about, I don't want to see Nashville being pushed around like they were in the first half to begin with. I don't like that. I mean, this is something that I don't like to see in any of the teams that I follow or I support. They need to find a way to, hey, okay, you're gonna come kind of bully me in my house. Well, hold on, I have a response for you. I have an answer. That's
what their center back Parker is. He is a beefcake, and he was pushing folks around. He is a tough dude. Responses to that maybe requires another.
I don't think
do we need an enforcer?
Not really. I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say that because the second half shows what we need to do. Is just manage the ball, keep the ball on the ground, find the open guy all the time, and then make the ball move around them. Make them chase the ball, and that's what happened in the second half. Well, so that's the answer right there. So why wait? And I'm not saying that the team waited on purpose.
No.
But why would they have to have until the second half to do it? They have figure it out early in games, and then when that's happening, say, hold on, guys, remember what we did to San Luis in the second half? Let's do it right
Do
now.
it again. Claudio, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
All
It's a
right.
pleasure. Hey, Drew, we have a conversation.